Before I come to Eagles Nest, I did the rodeo a lot. Like I rode bulls, that was my main thing. And with that come a lot of alcohol and a lot of cocaine. So I lived my life wide open. There was no doubt about that. I mean, I stayed on top of the ball. I stayed going strong. There was no stopping point. I was working all day, drinking, partying, riding bulls and horses all night. That was my life. And I had 3 kids in the midst with it. So I was trying to be a father, a husband, and live my life at the same time. So, I mean, it was reckless. It was nothing but reckless. That's how I would describe it in one word. I ended up one night, I'd had enough, and me and my wife at the time, for several years, we never, it wasn't that good, that healthy of a relationship, but we made it work for the kids. And then one night, we just had enough of each other, and she was done, and I was done too, and she left, and I ended up putting my kids to bed, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, I got ready to kill myself, and I actually reached out before I did and let her know what I was getting ready to do and told her to come home and get the kids. That way I could just end it. She ended up calling the law and having them come out there, and they put me in a mental hospital, and I ended up getting charges from that, and that's what led me here. I ended up going to jail. And then from there, I reached out to Eagles Nest. I had to do my time in jail, and then I come here. There was a couple people in there that was talking about the Eagles Nest and was talking about that it was a good place, and if you got in with them good, that they would actually help you further along rather than some of the programs will just drop you on your head when you graduate. Eagles Nest will actually help you get out there and be successful and give you the right tools in life to be able to succeed. I've loved it. When I got here, I was beaten and broken. I mean, I had nothing. When I come in here from jail, the day I got out of jail, I come here. And I had nothing. I had no home, no nothing. I mean, I had my family that was supporting me, but I lost, while I was in jail, I lost my wife, I lost my kids, my job, everything. And I come here with absolutely nothing except for a few clothes that I had that didn't get burned up in the house fire while I was in jail. And since I've been here, man, I've learned love. Love's a big thing here. I didn't know what that word meant. I mean, I thought people just used it as a word of I love you, as in something that was just something that was said in my household growing up. I never really felt that. But here, I've got to learn that love is doing for others. Love is about what can you do for someone else rather than what can be done for you. That is the main thing that I've learned here. Honestly, probably journaling. Hearing the voice of God is something that I would have never. When I come in here, I thought that this journaling thing, and when they said that you'll hear the voice of God, I thought that was crazy. I would have never in my life imagined that you really could. And then when I got in inner healing, I got to give journal partners and stuff like that where I could teach somebody else. And the best way I could describe hearing the voice of God, everybody's got a conscience within them. Everybody's got a voice that tells you, no, you shouldn't do this, or yeah, this is a good idea. But what you don't really realize is that's the Holy Spirit speaking to you. That's something I would have never thought. All the things that I did wrong in my life, He was right there with me the whole time. And learning through that theophostic prayer to talk to God, that's a very big tool to me too. And something I had described to me by a guy that was only here for a couple of weeks. I guess he had other things going on, but he told me at one point in time, he said, when you look at God, don't you think that He is just like you? And I couldn't figure out what he meant by that. And then he told me, he was like, think about it. God goes everywhere with you. It says in the Bible that He's always with you. He's been in the trenches with you. And the way he described it on my point of view was He's rode bulls with you. He's been right there riding horses. He's grew up with you. He was there with you on the farm. He was there when you was doing drugs. He was there when you was drinking. So, see, my thing was I always thought of God as some higher power sitting on a golden throne. But in reality, through all this that I've learned here, He's just like me. I mean, He's been there with me through it all, so why would He look or be any different? The version of God I see now is something completely different than when I first come in here. The hardest part was looking back and realizing the reason that I have drank and got high all the time. The hardest part was going back and reliving those memories sober. Something that I kept running from my whole childhood was the things that I watched my father do, and I ended up turning out to be just like him. I had a lot of self-hatred. I couldn't stand the things that I did to my ex-wife, and how the father that I was becoming, the very thing that I said I would never do, turned out to be exactly what I was doing. The father I said I would never be was exactly what I was doing. I grew up and my dad was never there. He was always gone. He was out in jail or doing drugs or in a rehab. And then I did the very same thing. I ended up getting drunk a lot, staying drunk, staying high, something, and then ended up going to a mental hospital, going to jail, coming to rehab, and I could not stand what I had did to myself. I could not stand the person that I had become, and having to go back and relive all those memories and relive all those moments and forgive myself for every one of those was the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life. I would say I have gained patience. At first, before I come here, I was always in a rush to get everything done for some reason. I don't understand why I was like that. I was always rush, rush, rush. Let's hurry up and eat and go to bed and wake up and do it all again. But I've learned patience here. I've learned that the little quality times of the kids running up and asking for a snack 300 times, even though you just give them a snack 5 minutes ago, those things like that are actually something special, something to cherish. And that's something I never realized until I had lost it all. So coming here, and I mean, there's always going to be people that push your buttons and stuff like that no matter where you go in the world. And they give you little brothers here for that reason. And I mean, you get somebody that's come in here that, just got off drugs the day before, might have used before they was coming in here for the last time. And it can be difficult to deal with that. Nobody realizes how hard it is to put up with an addict until you're sober. And I always heard my mom say that she could never deal with a drunk, and my dad always said he was the drunk, and he was like, well, I can't deal with any of my friends unless I'm drinking with them. I understand why now, because being sober and then watching somebody come in, it makes me realize what I was doing to myself the whole time, and it kind of gives me that sense of don't ever do that again. So by being given those responsibilities and learning patience, that is actually, I would have never seen it then, but now looking back at it, that's what's helping me become a better father through this place. And there's a lesson called the bottle family. And through the bottle family, you learn the different dynamics of a dysfunctional family. The bottle family is, you've got Wanda Willie, which is the dad, and then Wanda, which is his wife. And Wanda has supported him in every way, shape, and form. And through that, it's kind of like how my mom and dad were. My dad was the alcoholic, and my mom, she would support him. She would co-sign him no matter what, no matter if he was in the right or if he was in the wrong, she stood by him. And then I come to figure out that I was Bubba, and Bubba is the one that does anything for acceptance. He goes about, he does not want to be anything like his dad. He tries to do everything he can to fit in, to be accepted in some way, shape, or form, but he's trying not to turn out to be just like his dad, but he ends up being just like him. And through that, I learned that when it comes down the line like that I could even pass that on to my children. And that's something that really hit home with me through that lesson was if I don't stop it now, then my children are going to be the same way. And I would have never thought in all my life that I would have turned out to be just like my father, but because that's something I run from. But in reality, it's exactly what I did. So through that lesson, I mean, it really showed me the importance that if I don't stop that now, then it's just going to continue to go on to my children, to my grandchildren, and theirs, and so forth and so forth. And that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. That was my favorite lesson that we did in this whole program because it showed me the importance of being a father. And when it was getting taught by Zach Knowles, I mean, I could feel the presence of God right there showing me that, hey, this is why I brought you here. I mean, there were several reasons he brought me here, but that lesson right there really showed it to me. That was that eye-opening key point moment in this program was the Bottle family. I'm actually proud of myself. That's something I would have never thought I'd be able to say, but I am truly proud of myself and how far I've come and the things that I've walked through and the things I've overcome and the way I feel about myself now. I actually feel like I'm worth something, that I can do something, that I can go out there and be successful. I'm only 25 years old. I just turned 25 yesterday, and I've had in my lifetime more. My uncle, he's 42, I think. And he's told me several times, I've had and lost more in my life than he's ever even had. I know that I can go out there and push and pursue and to be able to accomplish anything I want to in my life. And that's something I never thought about. I've had it and I've lost it and I've had it and I've lost it over and over again. And I guess that would be the true definition of insanity, would be doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And I mean, man, I did. I would sit there and I'd build everything up, and then I'd start drinking again and doing coke, doing pills, and I'd lose it all again. And then I'd start building back up, and then I'd think I'm fine, and then I'd do it again and lose it. I mean, repeatedly. And my uncle told me one day, he's like, you're clinically insane in my eyes. He was like, I don't see how you can sit here and build this up and then tear it all down. Honestly, I mean, to myself looking back at it, I wouldn't change a thing. As crazy as it sounds, I wouldn't change a thing about it. Because, yeah, it was horrific, and yeah, it was bad, but it led me here. And it led me to getting the help that I really needed, that I refused to get. I mean, to my message to anyone else out there would be, don't give up. I mean, it might seem bad now, and it might seem horrible, and you might be going through the worst stages of your life, but I can guarantee you that there will come a point that God will find you there. He found me one night at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was drunk walking up the road because I just got told to get out of my own vehicle because I was too intoxicated. And I kept walking up the road to this old church that I grew up at. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, this was like a week before I ended up getting locked up, I was broke down at the foot of that little wooden cross with a solar light lighting it up, just begging and pleading for help. I told him I needed help. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what exactly I was asking for, but I was asking pretty specific. That help that he gave me was meeting me at rock bottom, and he will find you there. That much is a promise. And this place right here, he definitely uses Eagles Nest for his glory. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He led me here and he boxed me in. I was court ordered here. And like my first couple of weeks, all that went through my head was, man, I've got to be here. I've got to be here. And then all of a sudden once I started realizing how many lives were changing here, it became a choice. This is something I wanted to do. And once I started seeing the progress in my life, I fell in love with it. I really did. When I graduate, I live 20 minutes from here. And I mean, I'm definitely going to stay plugged in because this place changes lives. I've watched it change lives. And it's just a great place to be at. I wouldn't even recommend just Eagles Nest to any addict out there. I said it a couple times. Inner healing, the lesson here, the program starts off with orientation, which just gives you the basic rules and basic layout of the program. Then you go on to regen. And regen is, I hear it gets said a lot, it pulls the attitudes out of you. In reality, it kind of shows and exposes why you get in reaction about certain things, because it's easy for somebody to get mad and to overreact and say something out of anger. And words out of anger will last a lifetime. Honestly, broken bones heal up way quicker than any words or something bad that gets said to you will. I mean, that'll stick with you a lifetime. Inner healing is the bread and butter. It's the meat and potatoes of this program. In my eyes, I mean, this is a 6 to 8 month program, but in reality, it's only 60 days to me. I mean, that's the way I look at it, because inner healing was what it was all about. I think everybody should read over the curriculum, whether you're an addict or whether you're not, because that right there, everybody's got something that bothers them in this life, no matter whether you used to do it to cope with it, or, I mean, even as much as going and working out every day just to not want to look back at something. I mean, everybody's got their own things that they do to cope with some kind of trauma that they went through in their lifetime. So inner healing, the curriculum there means everything. That would be why I would recommend this program, is solely for that stage. I mean, you can't beat that. You cannot beat walking back through your life and going over the things that you've went through and handing them over to God and realizing that you shouldn't blame yourself because you went through something. And that's something that we often do, is blame ourselves for something that happened to us in our past, but in reality, we should not do that. And that's something you'll learn in inner healing, and that's exactly why I would recommend this program to anybody. At Eagles Nest, you're going to learn the definition of love, and you're going to learn the definition about what you truly mean to yourself. I always say it during the prayer now, let us love ourselves the way that you love us, Lord, and let us see things the way that you see. And when I come here, I was raised in that old backwoods barn church style religion that you had to use the King James. You did not wear your hat in church. You dressed up and you sat down and you shut up, or grandma was going to get you with a belt when you got out, and that was a guarantee. But here I've learned to establish a personal relationship with God, and God calls us to all be his disciples, and the definition of disciple is a disciplined follower of Christ. And through that, you put him first. You lay down everything that you thought you wanted in life. You lay down your will and you go about his purpose. And that's something that I've learned here that can never be taken from me. So now when I go out and go to church, it's not you have to do this or you have to follow these rules. It's you're there for God and for your personal relationship to feed your inner needs in your soul through God. That's something I would have never seen coming here, and I would have never seen the fact that I would be able to come here and forgive myself and to be able to walk out with a new, fresh start. I thought for sure once I graduated, I'd walk back into the same lifestyle, the same thought process, the same everything. No, nothing's changed. There is not a thing about me that is still the same other than I still love the radio. But, I mean, that'll never change. That's something that I'll never give up. But this place has taught me love for sure. And that's something that I grew up in love. Like, there was love in my household, but it's nothing like what's here. This place is, my family comes up here, and when they come to see me, it's not like, I remember going to rehabs when I was a kid. My dad, he was at New Life and I think Hope Ministries and a couple other places. But when my family comes up here to see me, it don't feel like we're at a rehab. This just feels like home. I mean, it really does. That's exactly what this place is. There's a sign on the door when you walk in. It says, "Welcome to our nest." Yeah, this is our nest. This is our home. That's for sure.